The blade was at his throat. Then he laughed and turned the tables. The room was cold and dark. Only a single blue light glowed above the metal floor. Chains rattled as the human moved slightly, trying to adjust his position. His name was Commander Ray Carter, and his hands were tied behind his back. He had been captured 3 days ago. No food, no water, only questions. They wanted to know Earth's secrets. Ray said nothing. Now the guards stepped aside, and a tall, alien warrior walked in. Over 7 feet tall, with gray skin and red eyes, the alien's armor shimmered in the low light. His name was Kurnus, commander of the Xerix elite forces. Kurnus smiled, sharp teeth showing. "Is this the human everyone fears?" he asked, voice like a low growl. He pulled out a long, curved blade and stepped close to Ray. "You're weak. You bleed. You break, just like the others." Ray looked up, blood dried on his face, and smiled. "You came close to say that?" he said quietly. Kurnus paused, confused by the calm tone. The blade touched Ray's throat. "You should be afraid," Kurnus whispered. Ray's smile grew, then he laughed. Not a nervous laugh. A confident one, cold, sharp. The guards shifted. One raised his weapon slightly. Something was wrong. "You made one mistake," Ray said, still smiling. Kurnus blinked. "And what's that, human?" "You got close." In a flash, Ray twisted his neck just enough to avoid the blade. He pushed his head forward and slammed it into Kurnus's face. The alien staggered. Before the guards could react, Ray kicked upward with both feet. His boots hit Kurnus in the chest, knocking him back. The chain holding Ray's hands had a loose bolt. He had been working on it for hours. Snap! Ray was free. The nearest guard raised his blaster. Too slow. Ray spun, grabbed Kurnus's blade, and threw it straight into the guard's chest. The alien dropped. Another guard charged. Ray ducked low, grabbed the fallen blaster, and fired. The yarg sound echoed through the hallway. One shot. One body hit the floor. Now only one guard remained. He ran. Ray turned to Kurnus, who was trying to stand. Blood dripped from his nose. Ray stepped forward and pressed the blaster to his head. "No more speeches," Ray said. He fired. Silence. Ray took a deep breath and looked around. The air smelled like oil and metal. He quickly searched the bodies and took a comm device, a sidearm, and a key card. He opened the cell door. Outside, red lights flashed. Alarm triggered. Good. He moved quickly through the metal hallways. The ship was massive, alien, but Ray had seen blueprints. This was a Xerix warship, and he was in the holding section. He had one goal: take control of the ship or bring it down. Ray reached a control panel and plugged in the stolen device. The screen blinked. English letters appeared thanks to a hacked translator chip he had implanted long ago. "Access granted. Engine room, 4 levels down." He smiled again. More footsteps echoed down the hallway. Ray ducked into a side corridor. He needed to move fast. He had no backup, no team, but he had something better: training. Ray Carter was not just a soldier. He was part of Project Echo. Humans trained with predictive combat AI, reflex boosters, and survival instincts enhanced through years of mental and physical testing. He was designed for this. As he moved deeper into the ship, he left behind signs of chaos. Guards knocked out, lights broken, systems glitched. Every step he took made the ship more unstable, and they still thought he was just trying to escape. No, Ray had a message to send. He found a control room, sealed the doors behind him, and hacked into the ship's internal feed. Dozens of screens came to life. On them, alien commanders watched with confusion. Then they saw him. A human, standing in their command center. Ray looked straight into the main camera. "You took the wrong prisoner," he said. Then he pressed a button. They thought he was a prisoner. He turned into their nightmare. Smoke rose from the lower decks. Fire alarms screamed. The ship shook. Red lights blinked across every hallway. Panic spread like disease. But in the middle of all this chaos, one man stood calm. Commander Ray Carter, once a prisoner, now controlled parts of a warship belonging to the deadliest alien fleet in the galaxy. He watched the screen as alien officers barked orders. Find the human. Seal all doors. Send drones. Ray smiled, speaking to himself. They're scared. He wasn't wrong. Aboard the command deck, Captain Varnak, second in command of the warship Krashatal, slammed his fist on the control panel. How did he escape? Varnak roared. A younger officer stuttered. He used a control room on level 7. Explosions came from the engine coolant system. It's a planned strike, not random, Varnak growled. He's not just running. He's hunting us. The room fell silent. Back on level 7, Ray was already gone. He moved like a ghost through the metal corridors. Fast, silent, deadly. The stolen keycard let him pass locked doors. The blaster was ready in his hand. His face was calm, but his mind was calculating every detail. Ray had 3 goals. Find the central system hub, disable the communication array, crash the ship, or fly it straight into enemy territory, whichever hurt them more. He opened a floor panel and slid into the maintenance tunnels. It was dark, tight, and filled with strange cables and old alien bones, signs this ship had been through wars. As he crawled forward, a voice came through the stolen comm device. Human, said. A calm, cold voice. You have shown skill. That is, impressive. Ray paused. He recognized the voice. High Commander Drizon, the one who had tortured Earth rebels during the Omega Siege. I offer you a choice, Drizon continued. Stop now. Return to your cell. And I will not burn your home planet, Ray replied without hesitation. I've seen your kind burn cities, kill children, lie in peace talks. I'm not going back, but I promise you one thing. He paused, pressed a button and blew up another energy grid. You'll never forget me. In another section of the ship, Unit 9, an elite alien kill squad prepared to move. Drizon himself had activated them. These weren't guards. They were machines. Half flesh, half AI, programmed to hunt and destroy. They moved without sound through steam and shadows. Ray knew they were coming. He smiled again. Let's play, he whispered. He set traps. He rigged doors to collapse. He released sleeping gas in one section and redirected power to darken hallways. The kill squad walked right into it. One by one they fell. Ray didn't fight head-on. He outthought them, outmoved them, outplayed them. He was turning the ship into a puzzle, and he was the only one with the answer. Meanwhile, on Earth, a hidden team of human analysts picked up strange signals from space, static, mixed with coded pulses. One young officer leaned forward. This pattern, it's him. It's Commander Carter. He's alive. The signal was a simple loop. Survivor. Inside. Fighting. Not done. The Earth team stared in disbelief. One man was inside a warship, and he was winning. Back on the ship, Ray reached the central AI core, the heart of the warship. A glowing orb rotated in a chamber filled with humming energy. Thousands of lines of alien code flowed through it like blood. He pulled out a data spike. It was small, hidden in his boot, missed during searches. It was Earth tech. Human-made virus designed to infect alien ships. He stabbed it into the console. Let's turn the lights off. Suddenly, all over the ship, systems failed. Doors stopped working. Weapons went offline. Surveillance cameras went dark. The ship began to drift. Panic turned to chaos. Drizon watched as the screens in front of him turned black, one by one. He whispered, "What? Is this creature?" A technician replied quietly, "He is not a soldier. He is a nightmare." Ray didn't stop. He began speaking directly through the ship's system. His voice echoed across every hallway. "You took me as a trophy, a weak human to show off to your empire. Now I've taken your ship. You have 2 options, run or die." Alien. Soldiers dropped their weapons, some locked themselves in rooms. A few even tried to escape in pods, but Ray had disabled them all. He wasn't finished yet. He walked through the halls, slow, confident. Shadows moved behind him like fear itself. He was becoming a legend, even before the war was over. Not because of brute strength, but because he used the one thing aliens never expected from a human, his mind. Explosions shook the lower levels of the ship, fade to black. The alien general demanded his head. He sent a message instead. The warship Krasha Tal floated in space like a broken giant. Its lights were dead, its weapons offline, communication systems cut. Inside, the air was thick with fear, and one man walked those dead halls like he owned them, Commander Ray Carter. He had no army, no ship of his own, no backup. But he had something the alien empire feared more than anything else, a human mind that refused to die. In the center of the galaxy, inside a floating fortress the size of a moon, General Vale Orn, leader of the Xerix, Dominion, stood before his war council. He wore black battle robes and a crown of bone, taken from the skulls of defeated alien kings. His voice was like thunder as he shouted across the war table. "He is just a human, one body. I want his head. Bring it to me." The council looked nervous. One of his advisors, a slim, blue-skinned Xerix named Valor, spoke quietly. "General, he has taken full control of Krasha Tal. We've lost all signals. No one is answering." General Valorn's eyes glowed with rage. "Then send the Iron Claws. 5 ships, full strike, no survivors. I want him erased." But it was already too late. Back aboard Krasha Tal, Ray stood in the command room. His face was tired, cut, and covered in blood. But his eyes were sharp. Had uploaded Earth's hacking virus into the core systems. Now he wasn't just inside the ship, he was the ship. He turned toward a black console and pressed a button. The screen flickered. An image of General Vale Orn appeared. The general's red eyes widened in disbelief. How did you break into my feed?" Ray leaned in close to the camera. "You wanted my head?" He held up something. The helmet of Drazan, the high commander who had captured him, burned, dented, bloody. "Send me 5 more like him," Ray said. "I need exercise." He ended the call. The broadcast didn't just reach the general. Across space in hidden channels, thousands of beings watched the leaked message. Human rebels cheered in silence. Neutral systems whispered stories about the ghost in the warship. Even some alien soldiers started to doubt their own side. The Xerix had ruled through fear, but now fear had changed sides. Inside Krasha Tal, Ray activated another system. "Time to send my own message," he whispered. He stepped into the broadcast room. Alien tech surrounded him. Lights, cameras, voice enhancers. He activated them all. The warship's massive satellite dish turned slowly and aimed at the Xerix central command beacon. Ray stared into the camera and began to speak. His voice was calm, controlled, but powerful. "I am Ray Carter. I was taken as your prisoner. You tortured me, mocked me, thought I was weak, but now I stand in your warship, alone, and I own it. You call yourselves rulers, gods, but I've seen your fear. I've seen your soldiers run. I've watched your systems fall apart. And I did it with nothing but my hands and my mind." He paused, then said, "If this is what one human can do, imagine what happens when we all come." He ended the message, sent it, not just to the Xerix, but to every known channel in the galaxy. Every race saw it, every army heard it. The human was no longer a secret. He was a symbol. On a mining planet far away, a group of alien workers gathered around a dusty old screen. One whispered, "Is that really him?" Another nodded. "The human who stole a warship." A third voice, older, cracked from age, said softly, "He's not stealing anything. He's taking it back." Ray leaned back in the captain's chair of the Krasha Tal. His wounds ached. He hadn't slept in days, but he had no time to rest. An alert blinked. Incoming fleet, 5 ships, Xerix Dominion. ETA, 12 minutes. He smiled. "Let them come." He stood, walked to the weapons bay, and opened a secret chamber in the ship's design, something only a captain could access. Inside was an alien artifact, glowing with blue light, ancient, powerful. Even the Xerix didn't fully understand it. Ray stared at it for a long moment. This might do the trick. He plugged it into the ship's system. Lights flickered. The ship changed, became something more. Energy surged through its walls. Systems rebooted with new power. The engines hummed like thunder. When the enemy fleet arrived, they saw a warship that should have been dead. Instead, they saw it rising, alive, angry, and at its heart, one human, ready for war. Trapped on a dead world, but the human made it his playground. The warship was dying, systems overloaded, engines cracked, fires burst through metal halls. The stolen Xerix vessel, Crasha Tal, had fought one last battle against the 5-ship strike force. It had destroyed 3, damaged 2, but now it was falling toward a dead world. Inside the command chamber, Commander Ray Carter held onto the controls as the ship shook violently. He had chosen this. He had disabled the escape pods. He wasn't running, he was leading. As the enemy ships prepared to fire their final shots, Crasha Tal dipped into the gravity field of a long-forbidden planet. Planet designation, NX-73. Codename, Black Hollow. The Xerix called it Cursed. No life signals. No communication ever returned. All missions ended in silence. That's why Ray chose it. Let them follow. Let them die. The warship hit the planet like a god falling from the sky. Fire tore through the atmosphere. Metal screamed. The ground cracked on impact. A shockwave echoed across empty canyons and dead valleys. Then silence. A thick, heavy silence. Inside the broken wreck, Ray opened his eyes, bleeding, bruised, alive. He unstrapped himself, stumbled through smoke, and dropped into the dirt outside. He looked around. The sky above was gray and swirling. The ground below was dry, sharp, and cracked like broken glass. Strange shapes moved in the mist, too far to see clearly. Ray muttered, "Welcome to hell." Hours passed. The remaining 2 enemy ships arrived in orbit, circling like vultures. They scanned the planet, detected no life, and began to send ground. Teams, small elite units, clones, trackers, war beasts. They believed Ray was weakened. They didn't understand. He had become something else. Ray used the wreckage to his advantage. He salvaged weapons, supplies, heat sources, and traps. He dragged sharp wires from the engine room. He used a broken drone sensor to detect movement. Then he disappeared into the wild. The hunters arrived on the surface. Ray watched them from high cliffs, through dust and distance. He saw how they moved, how they relied on tech, how they expected victory. He smiled. They still think this is a war. This is no longer war. This is survival. And I'm the predator now. One by one, they died, not in battle, in fear. A tracker unit stepped into a trap, triggering a chain reaction explosion. A war beast was found torn apart by sharpened steel. A clone soldier wandered into a false heat signal and vanished in a pit Ray had covered with reflective metal sheets. The planet helped him. Its twisted terrain, its shadows, its strange sounds at night. He didn't fear the planet. He became it. The soldiers began calling in distress signals. None were answered. The ship above refused to send more units. Fear had taken hold. One officer whispered over the comm, "He's not human anymore, he's something else down here." Ray moved through ruins he discovered under the surface. Black stone halls with no writing, just strange symbols glowing faintly. Something ancient had lived here. Or maybe something was still asleep. He touched one of the walls, and it pulsed. His vision blurred. Images flashed in his mind. Stars exploding. Machines eating entire planets. A dark shape standing over a pile of alien skulls. He staggered back. What the hell is this place? He returned to the surface, marked the location. Something was buried here, not just ruins, a weapon, or a warning. Either way, it could change everything. That night, fog rolled over the battlefield. Half of the remaining alien ground teams refused to leave their tents. They saw shapes in the mist. They heard laughter in the wind. Ray moved between them like a ghost. Not always killing, sometimes just whispering. Still think I'm the prey? They broke. Some ran into the darkness, others turned on each other. He didn't even need to fight. He had broken their minds. In orbit, the Xerix fleet made one final call to General Vale Orn. "Sir, we lost visual. They've stopped responding. All 40 units. The human, he's not dead. He's waiting." Velorn crushed his comm device in silence. This was no longer a hunt. This was a legend growing faster than they could stop it. Back on the surface, Ray sat near the ruins, sharpening a blade made from alien steel. The planet was quiet again, but under his feet something was moving. He felt it. He had awakened something deeper, not just inside the planet, but inside himself. He was just one man, but he made the galaxy listen. The planet was not dead. It was sleeping, and now it had opened one eye. Ray Carter stood at the edge of a deep black hole, hidden beneath the ruined ground. He had spent 2 days clearing debris, avoiding alien patrols and following a signal that pulsed in his head like a second heartbeat. He didn't know what was calling him, only that it was old, beyond alien, beyond time. He tied a rope made from shredded armor and dropped into the darkness. As he descended, the temperature dropped. The air felt thicker. The walls around him weren't made of stone or metal. They pulsed like skin. Finally, he touched the floor, silence. Then, light. Not from any machine, not from a torch. It came from within the walls, glowing softly, moving like rivers under ice. Ray stepped forward and saw it. A giant black structure, smooth like glass, standing tall in the center of the chamber. No markings, no openings, just waiting. He reached. The moment his hand touched the surface, everything changed. Ray fell, but not physically. He was pulled into a memory that wasn't his. He saw stars burning, planets consumed by machines, creatures made of light screaming in the void. He saw wars that were never written in any book, empires born and crushed in the blink of an eye, ancient beings fighting for survival, and then hiding, scattering their last creations across space. One of those creations was this planet, and now that creation had chosen him. He gasped and fell to his knees as the vision ended. The black structure pulsed once, then split open. Inside, hovering above the ground, was a core, a small sphere made of metal and light. It floated toward him. Then it spoke. "You are human. You should not be here, and yet, you survived. You fought. You adapted. You are worthy." Ray didn't understand how, but he could feel the voice inside his skull. Not painful, powerful, like being plugged into the mind of a god. He whispered, "What are you?" "I am memory. I am weapon. I am warning." Ray reached out. The core merged into his chest. Back on the surface, his body arched, eyes wide, energy crackling around him. The sky above the planet twisted, dark clouds forming rings, lightning falling in silence. Far in orbit, alien scanners picked it up. Something just activated, something massive. Ray stood slowly. The energy from the core hummed inside him. He looked the same, but he wasn't. He could feel signals, satellites, hidden drones in the trees. He could even feel the heartbeat of the Xerix soldier who was crawling toward him behind a rock 300 meters away. Ray turned, aimed his blaster without looking. Fired once. Silence. Across the galaxy, transmissions started failing. A strange pulse spread from the dead planet. Unreadable, unstoppable, like a virus without code. On the Xerix homeworld, screens blinked with error. In the United Human Colonies, engineers scrambled to make sense of the interference, but for Ray, it was clear. He stood on a cliff. The sky above swirled. He took a deep breath and spoke into the wind. You wanted to break me. You failed. Now you'll hear my voice. Not just you, all of you. He reached out his hand and broadcasted. Not through human channels. Not through Xerix satellites. Through every forgotten technology, every satellite the ancients had buried in orbit, every long-dead signal tower across the stars. His voice echoed across the galaxy. I am Commander Ray Carter. You thought I was your prisoner. You thought Earth was weak, but I didn't just escape. I found your fears. I've seen what you hide, and now I have the voice you tried to silence. The signal cut through every language, on merchant ships, on pirate radios, on ancient colonies. The whole galaxy heard him. We are not alone, but we are not afraid. If one human can shake your empire, imagine what comes next. Back in the Xerix capital, General Veilorn stood frozen. Around him, officers whispered. He's alive. He's speaking through ancient systems. Even our oldest tech is reacting to him. He's linked to something deeper. Veilorn stared at the screen. No, he's not just a man anymore. He's becoming a force. Back on NX-73, Ray opened his eyes. He could feel the galaxy listening. Some feared him. Some admired him. Some wanted to join him. He had no army. But now, he had a cause. And, more importantly, a signal. He whispered into the wind. Next time you won't take Earth. Earth will come to you. He turned and walked into the storm where old machines began to wake beneath the sand. They sent a fleet. He sent a warning. The galaxy waited. Ever since the human's voice reached every corner of space, something had shifted. Fear changed. Direction. The Xerix, once the predators, were now being watched. By rebels, by outsiders, by allies who stayed silent for too long. And in the middle of it all, one man stood on a dead world and refused to kneel. Inside the Xerix war room, General Veilorn stood before a black screen. Behind him, 6 commanders waited. None dared speak first. The general finally broke the silence. This ends now. No more games. No more symbols. We burn the planet and everything on it. He raised his arm. On his command, a fleet of 20 warships launched from 3 different systems. Battlecruisers, dreadnoughts, plasma bombarders, enough to reduce a small moon to ash. Their destination, NX-73. The cursed planet. Their target, Ray Carter. Ray already knew. He sat in the heart of the ruins. Around him, the ancient machines pulsed quietly, sensing his thoughts, reading his intent. The core in his chest beat slowly, glowing brighter with each hour. He had spent days learning, watching. The technology buried here didn't just power the ruins. It connected to a planet-wide system. Defense rings, energy nodes, forgotten weapons grown into the rock itself. They were never meant for humans, but they answered to will, and Ray's will was like fire. He stood, looked at the sky. They're coming. Hours later, the Xerix fleet arrived. 20 ships in tight formation, casting shadows over the dead planet. Captain Rizak, leading the first assault team, looked down at the planet. No signs of movement, he said. No cities, no defense. The general's voice crackled in his ear. Then burn it, now. Rizak grinned. He gave the order. The ships charged their main weapons. 20 massive beams lit up, glowing with the energy of a sun. They fired. The beams struck the planet's surface, but nothing happened. No explosion. No shockwave. Just a strange shimmer of light. Then silence. Rizak blinked. What? And then the planet responded. Rings of blue energy rose from beneath the crust. Ancient towers erupted from the ground, spinning with force and light. Defense. Systems awoke from sleep. They didn't just shoot lasers, they bent gravity. The first dreadnought was crushed like a soda can, folded into itself and dropped into the ground without a sound. The second was pulled sideways by invisible force and slammed into a cliff the size of a mountain. Within 60 seconds, 3 ships were gone. No warning, no escape, just reality being rewritten. Inside the remaining ships, fear spread fast. These weapons, they're not Xerix. They're not from this galaxy. It's the human, someone whispered. He's not defending the planet. The planet is defending him. Ray stood in a storm of dust, eyes glowing faintly. He raised one hand, and the weapons obeyed. It wasn't just machines. It was will-based warfare. Systems designed to follow the strongest, the most focused, the most determined mind in range. The ancients called it command thought protocol, and now it was in the hands of a human who had nothing left to lose. Ray spoke through the planet's comm system. His voice reached every ship. I gave you a warning. I gave you a chance. You answered with a fleet. I answer with your fear. He raised his hand again. A pulse wave shot into space. It didn't explode. It silenced. Every ship's weapon system died instantly. Engines slowed. Lights dimmed. Crew members screamed as gravity twisted inside the halls, and Ray's voice returned. Now run. Some ships tried to flee. The smart ones did. The rest stayed, and were ripped apart by the ancient defense network, sliced by light, swallowed by the planet. One was even sent crashing into the moon above NX-73. From the ground it looked like gods were at war. But it was just one man. Across the galaxy, word spread like fire. Pirate ships changed direction. Neutral colonies raised the human flag. Even rival species paused their battles, turning their antennas toward the dead world. Some whispered, "He's not a soldier anymore." Others said, "He's a storm-wearing skin." But one voice, and a survivor from the Xerix fleet, once said the truth. We didn't see a human. We saw the end of everything we believed in. Back on the surface, Ray stood among the ruins. The machines powered down, resting again. The sky was quiet. The fleet was gone. But now he had their attention. He sat alone, recorded one final message, and sent it to every system. I am not here for revenge. I am here to warn you. Stop hunting Earth, stop fearing humans, start respecting us. He looked straight into the camera. Or I will come to your door, and I won't knock. He ended the broadcast, and somewhere, in the darkness of space, entire governments began to rewrite their war plans, because one man just showed them. Fear has a new name. He walked alone into their hall of power, and changed everything. The galaxy was silent. Ships paused in deep space. Empires sat still. All eyes turned toward the heart of the Xerix dominion, the capital world, Dravak 1, home to the most feared government in the known galaxy. And in its center, inside a tower of obsidian glass and screaming metal, sat the Hall of Command, where the most powerful beings in the galaxy gathered. They were waiting, not for a fleet, not for a siege. They were waiting for him. No guards, no weapons, no cameras inside. Just one open door. And through that door, Ray Carter walked, unarmed, unshaken, unstoppable. His boots echoed on the polished floor. On both sides of the hall, rows of alien leaders watched in silence. Xerix generals, sector rulers, even other species invited to observe this moment. They had heard the stories. They had seen the footage. They had watched a man become a myth. But this was real. The man who turned a cursed world into a fortress. The man who sent fleets home in pieces. The man who made the galaxy listen. Now, he was here, alone. At the end of the hall stood General Vale Orn, taller than any Xerix, armored, like a walking tank, his eyes burning red. He had led 1,000 conquests. He had never bowed until today. But not yet. You killed my commanders, he said. Ray didn't stop walking. You destroyed my ships, still walking. You dared to challenge my rule. Ray stopped, stared up at him, then said calmly, I didn't come to challenge it. I came to end it. Gasps echoed across the hall. Ray stepped closer. You built your empire on fear. You thought fear made you strong, but you forgot one truth. He paused. Then, fear spreads, and now it's yours. Valorn's hand twitched near his sidearm. Ray didn't move. He didn't need to. Because he knew every soldier outside was watching. Every camera across the galaxy was streaming this. If Valorn struck him down now, the Xerix would prove everything Ray said. And if he didn't, the world would see. He blinked, and that was worse. The general lowered his hand. Ray stepped even closer. You were never afraid of Earth. You were afraid of what one human could become. He leaned in slightly. Now imagine what happens when we stop asking for peace and start demanding it. Silence. Heavy. Cold. Final. Ray turned away from the general. Faced the whole hall, every eye on him. I didn't come here to negotiate. I came here to tell you the old order is done. No more taking what you want. No more crushing the weak. No more empires built on silence. He raised one finger. This is not a threat, this is a line. Step over it and I will come back. He started to walk away. Nobody stopped him. Nobody spoke. Not one Xerix dared move, because for the first time in their empire's history, they didn't see a man. They saw a reckoning. Outside the hall, the crowds had gathered. Screens floated. In the air. News drones hummed, and then the doors opened. Ray walked out, alone. No chains. No escort. He stepped into the sunlight of the Xerix capital, and the galaxy changed. That night, across hundreds of worlds, flags were lowered, prisoners were released, hidden colonies raised their heads for the first time in years, not because of politics, not because of armies, because of a man who walked into the lion's den and left the lions afraid. Weeks later, Ray sat aboard a quiet Earth ship, not a warship, a scout vessel, watching stars drift by. He had no title, no crown, no planet to rule, but messages flooded in from rebels, from former enemies, from new voices across the stars, asking questions, offering alliances, requesting guidance. Ray looked out into the dark and smiled. It was never about being the strongest, he whispered. It was about making them see us. Behind him, an old device pulsed, the ancient core, still alive, still watching, still listening. Maybe it had more to give. Maybe it was just the beginning. The myths feared the day humans would rise. That day has come. It had been 4 weeks since Ray Carter walked out of the Xerix Hall of Command, alive. No war, no fleet, just silence. A silence that spread across systems like a shadow before the storm. The empires didn't speak his name, but they prepared. They knew something had changed, because the myths were real, and the humans were no longer small. Somewhere beyond known space, in the Ashvale sector, a signal pulsed. Faint, old. Not of this galaxy, Earth's deep listening. Post picked it up. It carried no words, no language, just a repeating rhythm. A beat, almost like a heartbeat, and it matched the core inside Ray's chest. Ray sat alone aboard the Earthship Parallax as the signal reached him. He didn't sleep anymore, not in the usual sense. Since merging with the core, time felt slower, or faster, or layered. Sometimes he felt like he was seeing things before they happened. Sometimes he felt like he'd already died, and something else was living in his skin. When the signal pulsed, again the core responded, a quiet hum in his bones, a whisper in his mind. The gate has opened. Ray didn't know what it meant, but he knew where to go. He gave new coordinates. No one questioned him. They didn't ask how he knew. They just trusted him, or feared him enough to obey. The Parallax entered Ashvale space 5 days later, a region known for dead stars and no return. No comms, no warp, no light. But the moment Ray arrived, something shifted. A black wall appeared in space. Not metal, not energy, not real in the way anything else was. And it opened like an eye. Ray spoke once. "Don't follow me." Then he took a small scout, craft, and disappeared inside the gate. The wall closed behind him. Inside was nothing. No stars. No time. Just a giant sphere floating in the dark. Bigger than any moon. Made of smooth white stone and shifting glass. Orbiting nothing. Ray's ship was pulled toward it, not by force but by permission. He landed. He stepped out, and the world recognized him. Light lit beneath his feet. Shapes formed ahead. The surface opened like a puzzle solving itself, and then he entered the library of the fallen gods. It wasn't a real library. It was a vault of minds, consciousness, memories, blueprints, stored from ancient beings that had once ruled hundreds of galaxies. Civilizations erased by time, war, or choice. Ray was the first living mind to stand there in thousands of years. The voice of the core returned. "You were never chosen. You were simply left. We left pieces in all galaxies. None survived their tests. Until now." Ray walked deeper. Each step unlocked more visions. He saw a race of giants who lived inside stars, machine empires who rebelled against their creators, a dark wave that consumed light itself, and a warning, written not in words but in emotion. If they rise again, they will come back. Ray understood. The ancients didn't just hide technology. They hid it from something that might still be watching. Then Ray saw it. Chamber with 7 thrones, empty, each once held by a keeper, beings chosen to hold fragments of galactic balance. Protectors, not rulers. The 8th throne pulsed faintly, waiting. Ray reached out, the core inside him flared, and suddenly, everything made sense. The visions, the strength, the voice. He wasn't meant to defend Earth. He was meant to lead its next evolution. But the price? He would never be human again. In that moment, across the galaxy, Zarek's leaders woke from nightmares, sweating. Black holes shifted ever so slightly, and deep beneath the ice of long-dead planets, ancient machines stirred. Something had felt the throne awaken, and it remembered. "They've chosen someone again," a machine whispered to the void. "Then we are no longer safe." Ray stood at the throne. Breathing, he could turn away, walk out, be a legend, or sit, become a myth with no return. He sat. The vault screamed, but only in silence. Far away, in deep space, Earth's telescopes picked up something impossible. A new star appeared, and it had a pulse, and with it a message echoed, "He has accepted, prepare."